The Seattle Mariners just went into Toronto and swept the Blue Jays in epic fashion, and I think now after that, people are starting to notice the Mariners. They're being taken seriously for the first time in 21 years, and all it took was knocking off the ridiculously loaded Blue Jays lineup in the postseason, along with one very unprecedented comeback to take Game 2 and the series. It's really a wonder how the Mariners are here in this moment, but in the pandemic-shortened 2020 season, they went just 27-33. So how have these Mariners been built to compete? Their 2022 roster is full of guys who haven't really been in Seattle that long, at least in the major leagues. The story of the creation of the present-day Mariners starts following the 2016 season. Wanting to build off their 86 and 76 year, the Mariners sent infielder Ketel Marte and right-handed pitcher Taijuan Walker to the Diamondbacks in exchange for infielder Gene Segura and minor league prospect Mitch Haniger. In AAA in 2016, Haniger slashed .341, .428, .671 with 20 home runs. It was a blockbuster trade for sure, as general manager Jerry Dipoto took a chance on a young prospect while trading away respectable major league talent. The main focus of this trade has turned out to be that young prospect, Mitch Haniger. Gene Segura played well with the Mariners, but was only with the team for 2 years, 2017 and 2018, which leads us to the next piece of the puzzle. Following a 2018 season where the Mariners had an acknowledgeable 89-73 record but didn't sniff the playoffs, Segura was traded. The return was unproven young shortstop J.P. Crawford and first baseman Carlos Santana. Santana would never play a game in Seattle at that point, but Crawford has turned into one of the better defensive shortstops in baseball, along with having a career 97 OPS plus with the Mariners, 12 points better than his time with the Phillies. The 2019 and 2020 Mariners were forgettable teams, compiling an underwhelming .428 winning percentage and negative 184 run differential during those 2 seasons. Though in 2020, there were some bright spots. Newly acquired infielder Ty France posted a 128 OPS plus and 94 plate appearances for the Mariners. In 2021, it was clear that no one was high on the Mariners, and for good reason. They really didn't have any impact players that had proven themselves. And when you look at their baseball reference page, the lineup really reflects that sentiment. Outside of guys I've mentioned, especially Ty France and Mitch Haniger, no one really stood out on offense. In the bullpen, recognizable names like Paul Sewald, Eric Swanson, and Diego Castillo emerged as legitimate threats. They would be the building blocks for what would become maybe the best bullpen in baseball. Where the big changes happened were in the 2022 offseason. There were a fair few moves and other transactions made in Seattle. 2021 Cy Young winner Robbie Ray was signed to a 5-year contract. His 1.57 ERA plus made him one of the premier pitchers, and this was Seattle's premier signing of the offseason. Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez were brought in via trade from the Reds. The Mariners might not have gotten the production they wanted from one of these players, but they could still say they won the trade. Ahead of opening day, top center field prospect Julio Rodriguez was called up to split time with other so-called top prospect Jared Kelenic, who didn't pan out in 2021. An 11-10 April versus some mediocre competition definitely didn't bode well, and things got worse when they stumbled into June with a dismal 21-28 record. Ty France and J.P. Crawford were carrying the offense by this point, as Julio Rodriguez had yet to really break out. The Mariners themselves had yet to break out as well. June was a step in the right direction though, as the Mariners crawled closer to 500 with a 16-13 month. At this point, time was running out to seriously make something happen while still having margin for error, and to spark the lineup, Carlos Santana was traded to Seattle on the 27th for 2 pitching prospects. He posted a 102 WRC plus with the Mariners for the season, but he had a few timely home runs down the stretch. July was where the season turned around and never went back. They started the month with a 3-1 loss to the A's in Seattle, but followed it up by winning 14 games in a row, rescuing their record to 51-42 and putting them in a playoff spot. Julio Rodriguez was turning into a star and slashed .267, .337, and .547 in the month, added to with 5 home runs. Entering August, the Mariners were in a playoff spot. The first series of the month was in the Bronx, and the Mariners were able to take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. This set the tone for the month, as they would go 17-10 over the course of the 31 days. This was the month of Eugenio Suarez. In 109 plate appearances, he clubbed 9 home runs with a monster 170 WRC+. Going into September with a 72-58 record, things were looking up. They were in a playoff spot as the 5th seed. The possibility of ending the 21-year postseason drought was becoming more real by the day. They started the month off with 4 straight victories. A series with Atlanta from the 9th through the 11th would produce one of the best games all season. After blowing the lead in the top of the 9th, Julio Rodriguez led off the bottom half of the inning with a 117-mile-per-hour blast to left field to tie it, and then Eugenio Suarez walked it off with another home run. Now 18 games over 500, the postseason was essentially a formality. But a 3-7 stretch through the middle of the month swayed hopes a little bit. The team was flat. They scored just 3.6 runs a game during that time, but in hindsight, the party was just getting started. For the final 12 games of the season, they went 8-4, complete with a dramatic walk-off home run to make the playoffs. Cal Raleigh hit the blast, and he's just another name that has powered the Mariners to where they are today. His 122 OPS plus ranked 4th on the team. They made the playoffs at 90-72, and just took out the Blue Jays, who many picked as a dark horse World Series contender. The Seattle Mariners have finally broke out of their dark age, and now they have a chance to shock the world by taking down the juggernaut Houston Astros and advancing in the playoffs even further. It's been a great ride, and it's possible that they aren't done yet. There's still a lot of baseball left to be played.